Hey guys, Righteous Rhema here and Picks and Pixels, bringing you your dose of truth for the day, and that is this. Do not be limited by your lens. Do not be limited by your lens. Your lens is your limitation. So I'm going to bring my camera out, my lenses out, to demonstrate to y'all an important point about watching your vision, your perspective, your viewpoint. So I brought three of my lenses here. This is the what I call Nifty 50 millimeter. And I have here the 18, the 55 standard lens. Comes with, the camera for the most part. And then I have here the 70 by 303 by 70 to 300 millimeter lens. This is a telephoto lens. And I'm going to use these lenses to demonstrate. So they all look very different because they do three different things. They all fit on this one camera, which is, I said, this is my mind. I said, this is Misty. And my lens can limit me. If I put this lens on, I can only see this far away. And see this far away with this lens. So I have to be in a really big room or long room in order to use this lens. This is good for like, if I'm trying to shoot like sports or something like that, or if I'm trying to shoot, some wildlife, some birds or whatever, spy on somebody. That's what this lens is for. They will never see me watching them. It's like a, telescope, telescope or binoculars or something like that. And then I have this lens, which is pretty good for, you can see the scenery. So like with this lens, you can kind of see, you see like the hallway, you see, you see my arm span, it's a really wide viewpoint. It can't see that far away clearly, but it's still a pretty wide view. So we got long, wide. Then I have this lens, which I call the Nifty 50, which is my favorite. It's good for portraits. So if you want a really cute portrait, really cute portrait picture, you would use this lens. So they all have their qualities, but I need them all in order to have a good photo shoot. It depends on what the photo shoot is, of course. But I need them all in order to have a good photo shoot, no matter where I'm at. If I'm doing events, I don't really need this one for an event. This is for people who are like sitting still in the studio type situation. It can be good for events too, for like good, poignant, emotional photo shots or whatever. If you're at a wedding, you and catch the bride catching the groom. But for the most part, I'm gonna use this for an event. This catches the whole room. This catches me if I'm not too close to the bride or whatever. But they all have their point. The point is that this is not a video about photography. This is a video about your perspective. But I'm using these as examples. So if I only had one type of lens, I can only do one type of photography. So if I only had this, I couldn't do any events. They would say, Miss, I got a birthday party. I need to get the picture of my birthday party. Well, I can't do it. I got to sit this one and I can refer you to a friend because all I have is a 50 millimeter lens. They wouldn't know what that is, but it would be good. Well, Misty, I need to do some wildlife, come with me to Africa, get some wildlife photos. Well, I can't. All I have is this lens right here. I can't do it. Limited. Miss, I need a portrait. Need some senior heads. Well, I can't. All I have is this lens right here. I can't do it. So it's like you don't want to limit yourself with your lenses. And so I want to share with you all something that I learned when I was in, something I learned last year. I love that God let me go to California and New York City last year. I shared the pictures, of course, all over. But I went to California and I got a rental car and I went to San Francisco that's the last Golden State Warriors game in that city, whatever, in that stadium, whatever. And so I went there and I was just blown away by all the different nationalities and looks out there. Everyone was so diverse. It was like nobody looked like they were from the same continent, whatever. Everyone was so diverse. So I went around with my camera and I said, hey, can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? Can I take a picture? I pretended I was with the event. I just was like stunning. I just was on my own being nosy. And it was a really cool experience because I saw like, man, like I am very fixed. Like my worldview, I thought everybody was like coded like me. I thought everybody grew up in the sanctified church. I knew everybody didn't come from a 2-parent home with sanctified parents. But I thought they kind of all probably went to church. I'm like, everybody go to church every Sunday, right? And so with that mindset, I just really probably came across as judgmental. Some of y'all are like, you still come across as judgmental. Well, I can't help it. That's my roots. But you know, you have to know that everyone did not come from the same background as you. Everybody didn't grow up in church. Some people grew up in households of people, their parents were alcoholics, their parents fought, and you know, all day went in and out of jail, whatever. That wasn't my experience. I only knew what I knew. So I come across as kind of, you know, goody two shoes, whatever, judgmental, you know, whatever. This is how I was raised, whatever. But I realized that I could not reach a lot of people, especially like in an evangelistic type sense, because I was inviting people to church. That's all I would do. I would never invite people to Jesus. I would invite them to church. And actually, in my last coaching church I was a member of, I was teaching vacation Bible school, Sunday school, and youth Bible study. And I asked the kids, I said, what if you had a friend that was an unbeliever, and your friend was going to die the next day? What would you do? How would you make sure they're ready for heaven? And they said, I invite them to my church. I invite them to my church. I tell them to call my pastor. And I was like, you know, this is how we were raised. Like, come to church. But when I went to California and New York City later on that year, these people are not coming to your church. Like, their frame of reference is so different. They wouldn't even set foot in your church. They wouldn't even have a clue what you're talking about. They know nothing of an Abraham, an Isaac, a Jacob, nothing of a Jesus, a Mary, you know, nothing of that type of, you know, Judeo-Christian background. And it's, we can't just invite them to our church. You're inviting them to a structure. You're inviting them to the way that black people from the South in Pentecostal charismatic churches do church. That's not necessarily the same as how the New Testament wanted it to be done. So you have to invite people to Jesus. And Jesus, we know, he went to people's houses. They said, this man sits with sinners. You know, he sits with publicans and tax collectors, whatever. And it's like, you know, he didn't do the normal thing they probably would have thought. Get them to become Jews and get them converted and get them circumcised and make sure make sure the men cut their hair and the women don't do this. Jesus wasn't like that. He wasn't judgmental like that. And he definitely had his viewpoints. And he definitely spoke the truth every time. He was not no liar on no level. But he wasn't trying to introduce people to a building or to a pastor. It was like, let me get you to know Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. And so, you know, we have to be more wider in our view how to reach people. First of all, I had to go to San Francisco. I had to pay to get into the watch party. I had to walk around and say, hey, I'm a photographer, man, if I get your picture, you know. Even though I was pretending I was with the event planners, whatever, I just was, you know, whatever. I had to take a risk in order to get up there to talk to people. I did not evangelize that night. I did not preach the gospel. I just went for pictures. And then New York was even more of like a game changer. Like, New York was like, really blew my mind. I was like, these people out here, man, they're from so far away. Like the people from California, they probably had some similar background, probably knew some of the same people, you know, maybe knew some of the, if I didn't preach, they might not have known some of the pastors I mentioned, whatever. They might have known who a T.D. Jakes was, who a Joel Osteen was, a Creflo Dollar was. But baby, New York City, them people was like I went, because our hotel was on Times Square. So I went to Times Square with my camera, take pictures of people. No lie. There were like 4 Latino women walking in Times Square. They had on some thongs. And that's it. They had on thongs. And they had body paint on. They had thongs and they had body paint on. Bare breasts, full nude, they had high heels on. They did have some shoes on. They had high heels on and thongs. Walking around. I was like, these people are nothing like me. I would never in a million years. But I was like, what if I want to reach these people to Christ? I did not evangelize in New York either, just letting you all know. But I was thinking about, like, man, how would I reach a person like that? How would I go to a person like that and say, hey, come to my church? And she comes to this church, if I was to Kojic, and all she sees is doo 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 doo. And y'all men wearing tight pants and earrings, and y'all women cutting y'all hair. Like, they would have never went there again. And let's be honest, you all. Some people that you invited to your church, they might have come one time after you invited your coworker maybe 20 times. They might have come a year later and they went one time and they never come back, and they're never coming back. And not because you did something wrong or your pastor did something wrong, but it's because we are so limited. We really think everyone is like us. Like Kojic, it's a kind of church for people who were raised Kojic. If you're raised Kojic, you're gonna like a Kojic church. If you were raised even apostolic, you know, if you were raised maybe, you know, full gospel Baptist, stuff like that, Church of God. But people who have no worldview, they're not gonna join your church. There's people in your church, fourth generation in your church, that are leaving your church, your Kojic church. Same with apostolic. I'm just saying Kojic, but it's same with Baptist, same with Methodist, same with other denominations. So you have to reach people in a different type of a way. And I think one way to start, I don't know every way, but I know one way is to be open-minded like Jesus was. He wasn't all like passing out tracts. Come to my church, come to my church, come to my church. Listen to my pastor CD, listen to my pastor tape. And there's a place for that might work sometimes. But like, how about you actually go and love people? Like, go feed people you don't know nothing about. Don't tell them, gotta come to my church to get fed, gotta come to my church to do this. Like, actually go love on somebody. Just love on them. Meet a need. You see them hungry, give them some food. You see them cold, give them a scarf, give them a hat, give them some gloves. Like, don't always want to invite people to your church. Because Jesus didn't say in the Great Commission, go and make church members of all the nations. He said, go ye and make disciples of all the nations, teaching them to observe all that I've commanded you. And lo, I'm with you always to the end of the world. But like, it just wasn't about membership. And I'm not anti-membership. You see my last video, you know, if you're a member of a church, that's great. But I'm saying, if you're going to be an evangelist and a missionary and a soul winner, you know, you're going to have to update your lenses. Because again, I couldn't go to Africa with this lens right here. I can't walk up on no lion with this short fixed lens. Because like this lens here may be like, let's say it's kind of clear from here to here. This is an example. It's clear from here to here. It gets too close, it gets fuzzy. Go too far away, it gets fuzzy. It has to be like right here to be a perfect portrait picture. So this kind of lens, this is. I couldn't go to Africa. I can't be this close to a lion. I would have to have this lens. If I don't have this lens, I can't go to Africa. You see what I'm saying? You know, so it's like you have to update your lenses, not change your background. All these lenses fit this camera right here. They all fit this camera right here. This is my foundation. I am still, I'm conservative minded. Like I still have my conservative views about sexuality, unborn children, you know, marriage, holiness, abstinence before marriage, not doing drugs and getting drunk, whatever. I'm still holding this. Even with my hair short and wearing lipstick and wearing tight pants. I still believe, not in church holiness, I believe in being holy unto the Lord and doing what the Lord asks you to do for a mission. I'm not Kojic. I'm not any denomination. I just believe in obeying God when the Spirit leads you to do something or not do something. I believe you just do it. And I don't always do it, but I believe you should do it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not perfect, but I am working every day to be who God wants me to be in Christ. But yeah, so, you know, like you can't go certain places with a limited mindset. What if I had went to Times Square with a shiny suit on, a shiny fuchsia suit on with a big old diamond hat, had to wear convocations and AIM convention and some, you know, some matching shoes, and I'm like, here's a tape of my pastor preaching, and all she hears, and the Lord, and I said, and Jesus. She was like, no thanks. Like, what if I showed the women walking around bare body with thongs on and body paint and high heels, and I tell them, this is my pastor. And he like, say yeah. She was like, okay, thanks, you know. Or if it's a homeless man on the street, it was a homeless people on the street, you know, and they were hungry. And I'm telling you, baby, New York, before COVID hit, baby, New York it don't ever sleep. Like the Times Square, it was constant. It was like, you know, we have like a person on the sidewalk in Memphis. In New York, they say this is a person. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, going this way. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, going this way. It was like constant for people all the time. It was like it never slipped. And I saw some people on the street, you know, evangelize with the signs and the microphone, whatever. But there were some homeless people on the street, and they may walk right over them. You know, but if we wanted them to Christ, you know, not handing them a gospel tract they can't even probably read. They might not even be from America. They might not even read English. You know, after there may be like 10 different translation packets. When I went to Ellis Island and the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the New York Public Library. There were like 10 different translations of everything. So you go out there with your gospel tract, come to my church Sunday at 2 p.m. How am I get there? I can't read this. Like, we're so limited. I don't read English. How do I read this? You know what I'm saying? And we're just so limited in how we just reach people. We just give them a gospel tract. And again, that might work because we're in Memphis. It might work in Memphis, do they? I'm sure a lot of people have went to church because of a gospel tract. A lot of people have gotten saved watching a televangelist on TV. I'm not against it. So I'm just saying we probably need to do a better job of, kind of updating our lenses. Again, we're limited by our lens. I can do a lot of work with this one. I can do a lot of work with this one lens. I can do tons of senior heads with this one lens. I'm not saying I can't do it. I can shoot a lot of events with this one lens. But what I'm saying is that I'm limited if I only have one lens. I have to turn in a lot of opportunities if I just had one lens. So, so I'll just be open-minded. Just be open-minded, Don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out, Don't be so open-minded that your brains fall out. Follow your convictions. You know your upbringing. You know how you were raised. But we're going to have to update some of our means in order to win more people to Christ. Because obviously, you all, no offense, but the way church we're doing it nowadays, it's not effective. They say children are leaving the church in large numbers. And since COVID hit, people really ain't going to church now. At least back in the day, your mama could make you go to church. Nowadays, she can't make you go to church. And she definitely can't make you sit there on TV and watch it. It's like we have to update our means. And, there could be, YouTube churches, Instagram churches. But how about getting back to just going to people one-on-one and sharing to them about Jesus? They may never set foot in church again. Let's say churches are always constantly outlawed. Let's say that COVID never goes away. And you're going to have to tell people about Jesus and not your pastor. Your first word at your mouth is, my pastor is the great pastor. My pastor, my church. You come to my church. My church is the best church in Memphis. My church. They're not coming to your church. I'm telling you, they're not coming. And if they come, they're not going to stay. Now introduce them to Jesus, and he will tell them, and they will go to their church if God tells them to. But your church might be too limited for them. It may rub them the wrong way. And if they're not a Christian, they won't stay at a church because only Christians go to church. That's not true. Only Christians should be at a church. You're not a Christian, you're just probably wolfing sheep's clothing or whatever. Pretending, there to get money from people or whatever, get sex from women. But only Christians go to church. So if you introduce them to Jesus first and they become saved by his grace, by faith in his death, burial, resurrection, maybe they'll get saved and then Christians go to church, or they fellowship with other believers regularly. I'll put it that way. But if you always introduce them to your pastor, they'll be professional pastorians and they only talk about their pastor. My pastor this, my pastor this, my pastor this. But you ask them, how do I get saved? I don't know. Go to my church, go to my pastor. I don't know. So thank you guys for watching Righteous Rhema Picks and Pixels. Please subscribe. Please watch and share. Watch this video again. Share it. And thanks guys for watching. Bye-bye.